Alright, so welcome back. So doing client-side stuff is all well and good, but if there's no back end to communicate with, it doesn't do anything at all, right? So we're going to work on writing the back end piece in this one. Also, I wanted to clarify that what we're doing today is more of like a do-it-yourself approach. So like you're just deciding what object you want to send back and you're sending it back. This is not Google Cloud Endpoints, which we'll talk about later at some point. Google Cloud Endpoints is like a structured way to do these things using another Google framework. I just want to mention that's not what we're doing today. So what we're doing today is we're just kind of rolling our own. So what we want to do is we want to make a new module called simpleAjax.py. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make this at the same level as like our main.py. So you can see that our static file server is about to cheat. It's about to do a little bit more than just be a static file server. And so what you can do is you can just right click and you can say new. I choose to say new file. And if you say new file, what you have to do is you actually have to type py. If you instead said new Python module, then you wouldn't type the py, details. And what we want to do in here is we want to just kind of put another handler. So you can go look at main and you can kind of remember what handlers look like. So they just say class, they subclass web app 2 request handler, and so we're going to write get handler. It'll say, hey, I don't know what web app 2 is, so you can import it with Control-Shift-O. That'll actually work fine in this case. And you can copy this whole thing from above, but really all you need for this first part is this much, and then a name for what this is. So I'm going to call this handler server time. And so once I've got this this handler in some level of completion, I've got to go make sure to route requests to use that handler. And so it's been a while since we've done this, so this is kind of back on App Engine track stuff. The way you do that is by adding a tuple. And so you say a path, so I'm going to say server time, and then you say what handler is going to be dealing with it. And so we're going to have to say the module name dot server time. And so once you save that up, it'll say, hey, I don't know what simple Ajax is. A Control-Shift-O will fix that right up, and it will import simple Ajax for you. So at this point, it's syntax error free, but completely non-functional. So let's go ahead and write a little bit more inside the server time. So whenever you do an Ajax JSON reply, there's some boilerplate code that I don't want you to type. So copy it from above. You probably already have it, and then I'll talk about it. So here I've copied it in. Note you might be using two tab or 2 space or 4 space. Just make sure it's consistent based on what you've copied in. And you can see that it's doing a couple things. First off, it's got a syntax error on JSON, so I'm going to do a Control-Shift-O and bring that in. By the way, as a warning, here in a little bit, we're going to do something where Control-Shift-O doesn't do what we want, but it worked fine there. So if we're going to respond with JSON, what we should really do, just kind of technically, is we should specify in the response headers that the content that we're about to give you is JSON. And the way you do that is you specify the content type, key, and you say application-JSON. And so what that does is if you put that into your header, then the browser will know what this thing is, right? And so it'll know, hey, this is JSON data and I can deal with it. Now it turns out that in our jQuery, we actually are forcing it to be JSON. But to be honest, if we'd done a regular get instead of a getJSON, this line would make it work correctly. So it's best practice to put it here. The next thing on here is something that I've commented out. And so why on earth would I add something that's commented out? Obviously, if it's commented out, it does nothing. But I wanted to put this on here just to kind of mention that there are some security things that you have to be worried about. And that is, by default, cross-site scripting is very dangerous. So it's very dangerous to like go to some other page and get their stuff. And so by default, it's not allowed. And so the only site you can ask questions to is the site that served the page. In our case, we're fine with the default, right? Because we're serving the page and we're handling all the requests, and it's just us talking to us. If you did want to open up to where you talk to like let other people use this backend, you would set this access control origin to star or some specified list. I just put it on there as a reminder for telling you a little bit about cross-site scripting. If you want to, you can leave it or you can delete it. It doesn't really matter. So what's after this? So I made a Python dictionary, right? And this dictionary uses curly braces, so just like JSON. And then it's got a key, which the key I chose here is message, the colon before the value, and right now I'm just going to hard code the value hello Ajax, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to self.response.out.write. I know it's been a while since you've done that stuff, but that's purely boilerplate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say JSON dumps. So what that does is that converts my Python dictionary into the appropriate form JSON that it should be in. So this is our basic example. Let's see if this does something useful. So if our client is all set up, make sure it's all refreshed and everything's good. What it should do is it should say hello Ajax right across the top there. Presto changeo, it did it. So this was big, right? So this click, assuming that it worked, and you don't have any syntax errors here, you don't have any syntax errors in your console over here. This is the first time we've ever communicated with a backend that was not done for us by the browser. So this is the first one that we've kind of done on our own. And just to share, it's not really that shocking. If you were to do a request on your own to server time, you would see that it actually just sends this as JSON, right? So the nice thing about GET request is you can simulate them in a browser just fine, because that's what it's doing, it's doing a GET request. And you can see what it chose to send you. So the goal of this exercise, though, is not to print hello Ajax. The goal is to print the server time. So instead of hello Ajax, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say convert this date into a string, and I'm going to say date time dot today. Today is a way for getting now. The way I've written this, I've just said date time dot today. If I do a Control Shift O and I let it import what it wants to import by default, you can see it imported date time, but it still doesn't work. And that's because what I really want to do here is I want to say from date time import date time. And that's because the way that package works is it's got an outer date time, and then there's a module inside of it with the same name, which happens to be date time. So it's kind of on there twice. And the way that I like to get around it is I say from date time import date time, and then I don't have to type date time twice in my code. So this is actually it to get the date and time converted to a string. It's going to be formatted in some crazy format. We're just going to leave that alone. And the time zone is going to be UTC, and that's because all servers typically use UTC. Google obviously does. So let's go see if this works. So I mean, you could run it in your little cheater page, and you can see what it's going to give you. And so that's with the browser doing the request for you. And then more importantly, you could run it in your Ajax version to see what it gets you. Cool. So it looks like mine printed. You can see what time I'm making this video. Mine printed in 1900, and that's because I need to subtract 5. So I'm in Eastern, right? So it's actually 14. So it must be around 2 o'clock when I film this video, right? So you can see what time I'm filming things. So it worked, which is really cool. By the way, if you happen to be in a different time zone, we've got a little map for you here, right? So you can figure out what you have to do to subtract off of UTC to figure out where you're at. And so that's kind of it for the GET. We've done the client side, we've done the server side. The next thing we're going to do is a post, just to kind of talk about the two, just really briefly. Both can receive values, right? Both can return JSON. So they're actually very similar. The way they work under the hood is very, very different. A GET has only a URL that it goes to, and then when you want to pass parameters, like it has to put them into the URL with key value pairs. Whereas a post actually consists of 2 pieces. It's got a URL, and then it's also got a body, right? So a post is different under the hood than a GET. But to be honest, you would never know it based on the libraries we're using, because they kind of hide how that information is passed. There is, however, a difference on when you should use it, right? So a GET, I use somebody's definition here, is when there's no lasting observable effect on the world, right? So you're getting information, you're just kind of looking at something. And so that's a good GET request. A post is when you're actually making a change that has a lasting effect. So if you're writing something to the data store, that should be a post, right? The other reason I like this definition is because it used a word that I wanted to talk about later, idempotent. It turns out that this definition used the word wrong, but I wanted to mention it now because we're going to say it later. Idempotent means it's a property where if you do something and it has an effect, and then you do it like 10 times, there's no effect other than the first one, right? So idempotent means there's no effect beyond the initial application of it. So this person used idempotent to talk about a GET request, which is completely false, right? A GET request should never do anything, not even the first time. It should just never do anything. But I like this definition because it used this word, and it's going to come up later in the unit. All right, so that's it for GET request, client and server. Next time we're going to start up on post request, and we'll do the client first, and then we'll do the server. All right, see you then. Bye.